Hey everybody, and welcome once again to the Paranormal Portal Pieces channel. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's episode. Before we go any further, please get subscribed and ring the bell so you get notified anytime any new episodes come out for the pieces. As of right now, the release schedule is every Tuesday and Thursdays. There should be new episodes showing up in the pool. So tonight's episode is another great one. It's another excerpt from our full-length interview with Christopher Everard of EnigmaTV.com. And Christopher joined us on this episode to talk about the Ouija board and gives us some more of his incredible insight and background and knowledge into the strange and wonderfully weird world of the occult. And so by all means, check it out. You're going to love this episode as well. And be sure to check out the full-length version over on our other channel, which is youtube.com/paranormalportal. So without further ado, let's check it out.
I liked your intro with the soundtrack from the Poltergeist movie, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I did the music and got the clips from
I suppose you guys know that many of the cast members are dead.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I think...
Yeah, and they died in, well, they didn't just die. Some of them were murdered.
Right, okay.
Did you know that Dominic Dunn, who played the eldest daughter in the first Poltergeist film, she died in 1982. She was aged 22. She was strangled by her boyfriend.
Oh no. Oh.
And she's buried in the cemetery, the same cemetery as the actress who played her younger sister.
Oh, Heather O'Rourke. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both dead. And there's other deaths as well associated with cast and crew on the Poltergeist film. Very, very similar thing happened with The Exorcist as well, and The Omen.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, when you make these movies where you're basically opening up a portal where millions of people then become reconnected to the paranormal, but they get reconnected down what I call the crooked path.
Wow.
That has usually some kind of debt, which it needs to be paid in blood, and that's the danger of making these horror films.
Wow.
I know there's lots of people who don't like watching horror films, and I used to be like that before I started making documentaries, and then I sort of thought, well, if I'm going to make documentaries about paranormal, I'm going to have to watch all these movies. And then I started digging down into the history of films like The Exorcist, and I discovered a very interesting documentary with Peter Blatty, who wrote the original story that The Exorcist film is based on.
Sure.
And he he rented a little kind of bungalow in Hollywood, and he had a Ouija board set up 24 hours a day.
Oh,
and the spirits were actually basically helping him write the story.
Wow.
Oh dear God.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not a recipe for bad, is it?
Yeah. Well, they came up with a good story. I mean, I do enjoy watching really well-made movies about the occult and the paranormal, because when they're really well-made, it can really be a very useful lesson to show people how dangerous it is to mess around with these paranormal forces.
No, that's a great segue into my next question, which is, what do you believe of the Ouija board? Do you think it's inherently evil? Is it neutral, or is it just good?
Yeah, it's the most dangerous way of making any kind of spiritual contact. And the reason for it is because it's an open door.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at society in general, you've got good people, you've got bad people, you've got indifferent people, people who are inert, who don't mean good or bad.
Right.
And that's what the spirit world is like. The spirit world is actually populated by mostly spirits of people. Mm-hmm. There are other spirits there who have never been in a physical incarnation, and lots of those are dangerous.
Yes, I would agree.
And so, you see movies. There was actually a movie made only 3 or 4 years ago called Ouija, which I think it was funded by Christians, and I think they did a very, very good job. It's a very, very high quality movie. And yeah, it's just called Ouija. It's really basically opening the gates and allowing any kind of spirit to walk into your house.
Right.
Now, that's totally different to proper high ceremonial magic. The secret of magic is spiritual communication. But they use astrology to choose the most auspicious days of the year or nights of the year to actually communicate with a specific spirit.
Right.
And the secret to high ceremonial magic is that when a spirit presents itself to the magician is all prepared, and the magician has tests, and the spirit is tested to make sure it really is the spirit that they've requested, or is it an imposter?
Oh, wow.
Now, with the Ouija board, of course, none of that happens. You know, you get these teenagers, very stupid. They sit there, is there a spirit in this house? Is there a spirit in the house? And, you know, straight away, the glass starts moving, because obviously there's been we've got 7-8 billion people on the planet now.
Yeah, there's gotta
And
be
that means that
somebody
the spirit world is infested with billions of spirits. And as I say, I mean, look, even a modern house built in the 1950s, there's people who've lived, died, been born as babies, even in a house as new as the house from the 1950s. Well, part of my house dates back to the 15th century.
Wow.
So can you imagine how many births and deaths there have been in most people's houses, especially in Europe?
Oh, no. Yeah.
And spirits tend to cling to certain premises. So if you just open up the portal and say, is there a spirit in this house? Obviously, the glass is going to start moving fairly quickly.
Yeah. That makes sense. Very true. That's a good point, and I imagine. Well, I mean, I believe, like you said, there are those beings that were never in a body. They're never have been human. They're just some kind of entity, and other.
Yeah.
Maybe they're elementals. Maybe they're demonic. Maybe they're something else. But
well, a lot of them are demonic, and they're called the Killopoth in Jewish mysticism. The word Killopoth means shell or husk. And they were created, you know, at the birth of the universe. You know, they predate even the cooling of planet Earth. And they are very jealous. They're jealous of humans because we inhabit human bodies where we can enjoy sex and we can eat and we can walk and we can, you know, sail boats and fly planes and do all this amazing stuff, whereas they're just very weak, non-physical entities. And it's these entities that, you know, going back to the time of King Solomon and even before, going back to the time of the Canaanites, Judeo-Babylonian Satanism has always summoned these Killopoth because they've got a chip on their shoulder and they consider humans to be abominations of creation.
okay.
And so, are you saying that these Killopoths are the ones that have most access, say, through the open doorway of a Ouija?
Yeah, I mean, if you get one of those coming through, you're in trouble because the likelihood is that they won't go away.
So would the Zozo phenomenon be one of those, or is that a deeper thing?
Yes, there is a global infection of Ouija boards that has been going on now. As far as I'm aware, it's been going on around 15 to 20 years, and it's called the Zozo infection. And, you know, you can see videos of people, they're asking questions, and all of a sudden it starts going Z-O, Z-O,
Right.
Z-O, Z-O, Z-O. That's it. You're not going to get any further than that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's apparently it's characterized by very aggressive movement of the planchette as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is an entity called Zozo or Zoso, and that was the occult symbol that Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin
Right.
chose for one of
album.
the Led Zepp album covers.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, I that's I remember that album, and I remember that
I
symbol.
have that album.
Do you still?
Oh, yeah.
I love that album, and it's wonderful. But certainly, there's no question that especially bands like Led Zeppelin, I think they're very, very widely rumored to have been involved in some kind of
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
different practices.
Absolutely, yeah. There is a there's a very interesting set of audio recordings from a guy called John Todd, who used to be a record executive for Zodiac Records, and he became a born-again Christian, and he actually went around giving lectures in churches telling people that the entire modern music industry was basically full of ordained witches.
Ordained witches, huh?
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. We hope you loved it. And please feel free to share this to your social media and let other people know about these episodes. That'd be wonderful. And once again, please get subscribed if you wouldn't mind. That would help us out a ton on the Pieces channel. As the more subscribers you have, the more likely the algorithm is to recommend it. You know the drill. So if you wouldn't mind getting subscribed and ringing the bell, it would be great. And once again, check out our youtube.com/paranormal portal, which is the full length episodes that you're watching the pieces of here. So we hope you'll check that out as well. Get subscribed over there and share with all of your friends and people that you know that are into the paranormal. And by all means, keep watching and listening to our podcast, which is available on all the podcast platforms. That would be wonderful as well. So thank you all so much. Have a great evening, and I'll see you next time.